Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung, a book that really challenges how we think about weight loss.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack some surprising insights about why diets fail, the truth about exercise,
Right.
and the often overlooked role of hormones, especially insulin.
It's amazing how much conventional wisdom about obesity gets turned upside down
Yeah.
when you look at the science.
Right.
Dr. Fung presents a compelling case for a hormonal approach to weight loss.
Okay.
And that's what we'll be exploring today.
First things first.
Yeah.
Dr. Fung doesn't mince words when describing the obesity epidemic.
Right.
He argues that the traditional calories in, calories out model is far too simplistic, and that focusing solely on weight as the problem is like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
That's a powerful analogy.
Right.
He points out that this oversimplified model led to the low-fat craze, which ironically might have actually contributed to the problem.
Okay, so if eat less, move more isn't the answer.
Right. Dr. Fung says we need to shift our focus from calories to hormones,
Okay.
particularly insulin.
Okay.
He argues that obesity is fundamentally a hormonal imbalance, not just a matter of willpower.
So insulin plays a role in weight gain,
Absolutely.
not just diabetes.
You see,
Okay.
when insulin levels are high, our bodies go into fat storing mode. And unfortunately, modern diets, packed with processed foods and refined carbohydrates, constantly spike those insulin levels, making it much harder to lose weight.
You know, it's funny because my grandma always used to tell me to avoid sugary and starchy foods. Seems like she was on to something.
There's definitely wisdom in traditional diets, and Dr. Fung dives into the science behind it. One of the most fascinating points he makes is about body set weight.
Okay.
This idea that our bodies try to maintain a certain weight range, and it's largely regulated by, you guessed it, hormones.
So it's like our bodies have an internal thermostat for fat.
Exactly.
Wow.
And fighting against your body's set weight is an uphill battle.
Right.
It explains why so many people yo-yo diet.
Yeah.
They might lose weight initially,
Right.
but their bodies fight to regain it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I've always wondered why some people seem to be able to eat whatever they want without gaining weight,
Right.
while others struggle to lose even a few pounds.
It could be related to their individual set points
Okay.
and how their hormones are responding to their diet and lifestyle.
This leads to another point that really surprised me. Dr. Fung argues that exercise, while important for overall health, isn't the key to lasting weight loss.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
He even gives the example of Dr. Peter Attia, an elite swimmer who was still overweight despite intense training.
Wow.
Studies show that our bodies are incredibly adaptable and often compensate for increased exercise by reducing activity elsewhere.
So you're telling me that all those hours I spent on the treadmill might not have been the most effective way to lose weight.
Exercise has tons of benefits,
Right.
but when it comes to weight loss, it's not the primary factor.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And speaking of mind-blowing, did you know that a study comparing exercise to diet found that diet accounted for 95% of weight loss,
Wow.
while exercise contributed only 5%?
That's a powerful statistic.
It really highlights the impact of what we eat.
And it underscores the importance of understanding how different foods affect our hormones, especially insulin.
Okay, so we've challenged the idea that exercise is the key to weight loss.
Right.
But what about cutting calories? That has to work, right?
Well, it's not as simple as it seems.
Okay.
Dr. Fung delves into some fascinating overfeeding experiments that challenge the very foundation of calorie-based weight loss.
Overfeeding experiments. What does that even mean?
These experiments involved intentionally overfeeding people thousands of extra calories per day.
I would think they would gain a ton of weight.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But here's the surprising part.
Okay.
Many of the participants didn't gain as much weight as expected.
Oh, wow.
And some even lost weight after the overfeeding period ended.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It comes down to how our bodies regulate metabolism. Dr. Fung uses the analogy of a power plant.
Okay.
If you suddenly receive more coal,
Right.
you don't just let it pile up.
Okay.
You burn more to generate more power.
Right.
Our bodies can do something similar with calories if we overeat.
Yeah.
our bodies can actually crank up the metabolic furnace and burn off those excess calories.
So our bodies are way more complex than we give them credit for.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's an incredible example of the body's drive for balance.
Okay.
Or what we call homeostasis.
Okay, so we've debunked eat less, move more.
Right.
And now we're questioning calories in, calories out. What else has Dr. Fung got up his sleeve?
This is where we really dive into the hormonal theory of obesity.
Okay.
He argues that persistently high insulin levels are a major driver of weight gain and a key factor in developing insulin resistance.
I thought insulin resistance was only a problem for people with diabetes.
It is a hallmark of diabetes, but it can affect anyone.
Okay.
And it's far more common than you might think.
So what exactly is insulin resistance?
It's basically when our cells become less responsive to insulin signals. Insulin is trying to deliver glucose to our cells for energy.
Right.
But the cells aren't responding as they should.
And what happens then?
The body, in its wisdom, pumps out even more insulin, trying to get those cells to listen.
Right.
This creates a vicious cycle. Insulin resistance leads to higher insulin levels, which further increases resistance.
So it's like a runaway train heading straight for weight gain.
Exactly.
And potentially other health problems.
And it's often triggered by the same culprits. Processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and sugary drinks.
Right.
The very things that spike insulin levels in the first place.
Wow, this is eye-opening.
Yeah.
So if we want to break this cycle, we need to lower insulin levels. How do we do that?
Well, Dr. Fung proposes a surprisingly effective approach. Fasting.
Fasting?
Yeah.
Like not eating anything at all?
Whoa.
Hold on, we need to unpack this because this is where things get really interesting. All right, so before we left off, we were talking about fasting.
Yeah.
It might sound counterintuitive.
Right.
But Dr. Fung argues that it's actually a powerful tool to lower insulin levels and break that cycle of insulin resistance we were discussing.
That's right. You see, our bodies are incredibly adaptable. They're designed to handle periods of food scarcity. In fact, we fast every day between meals. It's just a matter of extending those fasting periods a bit longer.
So when we fast,
Yeah.
what actually happens in the body?
Well, as you fast, your insulin levels drop significantly. This gives your body a chance to reset.
Okay.
And become more sensitive to insulin's signals.
Right.
Plus, you start burning stored fat for energy, flipping a metabolic switch from burning glucose.
Okay, but isn't there this whole myth about fasting slowing down your metabolism and making you lose muscle mass?
Yeah.
I've heard people call it starvation mode.
That's a common misconception.
Right.
Short-term fasting, when done correctly, actually has the opposite effect. Research shows it can increase metabolism.
Wow.
And preserve muscle mass.
Okay.
It's like giving your body a chance to clean house and become more efficient.
Fascinating. So we're essentially retraining our bodies to use fat for fuel.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But how does this actually translate to weight loss?
Fasting helps break the cycle of insulin resistance. Allowing your body to regulate its weight more effectively. Remember that body set weight we talked about?
Yeah.
Fasting can actually help reset that set point. Making it easier to lose weight and keep it off long term.
Okay, so we're using fasting as a tool to lower insulin, reset our body's set point, and ultimately change how our bodies interact with food. That's pretty revolutionary. You know, what's really encouraging is that Dr. Fung shares some incredible real-world success stories in the book. He talks about people who've reversed their type 2 diabetes and even gotten off insulin medication by adopting this approach.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this so compelling. It's not just theory. It's backed up by real people achieving remarkable results. It shows that we have more control over our health than we might realize.
Exactly. And speaking of control, Dr. Fung emphasizes that it's not just what we eat, but when we eat, that matters. He advocates for a more traditional eating pattern. 3 meals a day. No snacking. And avoiding those late night trips to the fridge.
It makes sense if you think about it. When we snack constantly, we're keeping our insulin levels elevated all the time, which prevents our bodies from tapping into those fat stores.
It's like we're giving insulin a time out so our bodies can actually catch a break and do some repair work.
Exactly. And As for those late-night snacks, eating close to bedtime means your insulin levels are high while you're sleeping, which isn't ideal for weight management or overall health.
Now let's talk about what we should be eating.
Okay.
Dr. Fung recommends a way of eating that emphasizes whole, unprocessed foods, similar to the paleo or low-carb, high-fat LCHF diets.
Yes. He's not advocating for a specific diet.
Okay.
But the general principle is to focus on foods that are naturally low in carbohydrates and high in healthy fats and protein, like vegetables, nuts, seeds, and healthy oils.
Wait a minute, you're telling me that fat isn't the enemy? I grew up thinking I had to avoid fat at all costs.
It's another one of those myths that Dr. Fung debunks.
Yeah, okay.
He argues that the real culprits are processed foods and refined carbohydrates, not healthy fats. In fact, he points out that healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, and nuts can actually protect against heart disease and aid in weight management.
So I can ditch the fat-free yogurt and enjoy some full-fat goodness.
Definitely.
Wow.
It's about focusing on quality whole foods and not being afraid of healthy fats. It's a complete paradigm shift from the low-fat craze that dominated nutrition advice for so long.
This is eye-opening, to say the least. It's funny because we've been talking about insulin. But did you know that people with insulin-secreting tumors often experience significant weight gain, even if they don't overeat? This really highlights how powerful insulin is in regulating body weight.
It's amazing, right? It's a clear demonstration that weight gain can be driven by a purely biological mechanism, independent of lifestyle choices. It underscores that hormones are truly calling the shots.
Mind-blowing. So we've talked about fasting and adjusting when we eat. But what are some practical tips for actually incorporating those into our daily lives?
Well, Dr. Fung offers a range of strategies in the Obesity Code, from simple tweaks to more structured approaches. He talks about intermittent fasting, which could be as simple as extending the time between your last meal of the day and your first meal the following day.
You're essentially extending that overnight fast. We all do naturally. Some people find that pushing breakfast back an hour or two can make a big difference. And if you're ready to take it a step further, there are other methods like alternate day fasting.
Or time-restricted feeding, where you only eat within a specific window of time each day.
So it's really about finding what works best for your lifestyle. And gradually incorporating these changes. It's not about deprivation. It's about making conscious choices that support your health.
That's the key takeaway. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge and understanding how your body works. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to share one more fascinating tidbit. Did you know that vinegar has been traditionally used as a folk remedy for weight loss?
Vinegar? Like what I use in my salad dressing?
Yes, exactly. And it turns out there's actually some science to back it up.
Really?
Studies have shown that vinegar can help lower blood sugar levels and improve insulin sensitivity. It's a simple, natural way to potentially enhance the benefits of a healthy diet.
It's amazing how these everyday ingredients can have such a powerful impact. This deep dive into the Obesity Code has really opened my eyes to a whole new way of thinking about weight loss. It's not just about willpower or counting calories. It's about understanding the complex hormonal dance happening within our bodies.
And remember, this is just a starting point. Dr. Fung's book is packed with even more insights and practical advice. I highly recommend checking it out to continue your exploration.
Absolutely. What stood out to you most from this deep dive? What will you explore further? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, this is a journey, not a race. Small, sustainable changes over time can have a huge impact on your health and well-being. Until next time, keep diving deeper.